Microsoft last week may have broke printing in your environment, but it's not for the reasons you may think. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Chris Burns from Techie Gurus. Welcome back. So last Tuesday, Microsoft released the final patch for PrintNightmare. What's PrintNightmare? PrintNightmare is a vulnerability slash exploit that got announced in June. It took them 3 patches to fix it. Every time they fixed it before, something else came up, and it's changed printing forever. It's broke printing for a lot of companies. A lot of companies that use network printing, it's completely broke. It's not Microsoft's fault per se. They had to fix it because it was a dangerous exploit, but it has changed the way that we have to do things. Microsoft says if you are having problems, you can go to your print manufacturer. You can try to get support from them. That's great. I mean, have you ever tried to go to a print manufacturer like Ricoh, Xerox, HP, etc., and actually get support? Let me tell you, it's a fun experience. Everybody should try it. No, seriously, it's terrible. But there will be a time, probably in the near future, where they do release print drivers that kind of change the way that things work. It'll probably be the end of the year, could be into next year. It really depends. You know, with us going into the fourth quarter soon, they may not be able to make changes like that. So where does this leave us? A lot of our customers are having issues with network printing because of the changes Microsoft had to make. But they had to make them. So why they have to make them? Because PrintNightmare had a few different vulnerabilities. The first one announced was actually remote code execution. What that means is somebody remotely can execute any code they want on a machine, which can lead to ransomware, some sort of privilege escalation, where they can get to administrator when they shouldn't be, or they can get to domain administrator on a corporate network, which is really dangerous because now they can own the entire network. And then it got to a point where it's just privilege escalation. So privilege escalation is when like a standard user could run it and they could leverage whatever vulnerability that was to get to like the system account. The system account in a Windows box has admin rights to that computer. Once you have admin rights to that computer, now you can create an administrator account. Or maybe there's other ways that you can actually extract credentials, or we could pass the hash, which if a domain administrator from a corporate network is ever logged in that machine, we might be able to pull their hash and actually pass it to a domain controller and start moving around the network laterally to get to the privileges we want. That's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. And these vulnerabilities had to be fixed. There was no exception to that. There's nothing they could do. They had to fix them, but it did break printing. If you have a USB printer, good news, you probably don't have a problem. It's network printing that's a problem. Standard users can no longer install drivers because that was one of the ways that they were exploiting it. So now we're in a world where if you're a standard user and you try to connect to a printer on a network, you can't install the driver. An administrator has to. That's great. It creates a little bit of administrative overhead for us, but it is a safer way to do things because drivers are very dangerous in the standpoint of they can do a lot of things. You don't want something that's malicious to be installed. So it's changed the way that things are going to work forever with printing. And I wouldn't be shocked if Microsoft makes further changes down the road. We don't know the full implications of this yet. There could be the next couple weeks, it could be more things break out of this. We'll have to see. It's going to be basically working with the printer manufacturers to come back and have them rewrite a driver that kind of fits into Microsoft specifications. So I hope that was informative to you. If you have problems, if you have an administrator, an IT administrator that works with you, absolutely work with them, because there are some workarounds where they can actually get print drivers installed. But if you're not careful, some of the ways that Microsoft gave you could actually open up that exploit again, even though you have the patch. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to leave that open forever. So you want to work with a professional, work with somebody who knows what they're doing, and to make sure that you're safe and that you're not taking a risk and accepting a risk that you really shouldn't accept. So if you need help, you can reach out to us. You can DM us. You have all the information. We just launched a new website. If you go to techiegurus.com, you'll see it's completely different than it was. We're going to be changing some content on there as well. We want to create an environment with everybody that's more social. We want people to send us messages, to DM us, to let us know what kind of content do you want. Because we want to create content that you want. We want to create content that's educational. If you have a question, I don't care what kind of question it is. It doesn't have to be an elaborate question. It can be a simple question. I'll try to cover that in a future video. I'll try to cover a couple of them in a future video, and I hope it brings value to your business to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So I'm Chris Burns from Techie Gurus. Until next time, stay cyber safe.